Hallo und willkommen zurück zu Paranormasight, The Seven Mysteries of Honjo. Mal schauen, wo wir heute weitermachen, ne? Wir haben da ja noch ein paar Personen vor uns. Also die Fragezeichen-Person würde ich gerne als letztes machen. Da sind wir ja soweit durch bei Haru. Dann würde ich gern, ja, da kommen wir, weiß ich nicht, ob wir hier schon weiterkommen. Wir versuchen es erstmal bei Tetsuo Tsutsumi, bevor wir zu Yakko gehen. Weil, ja, das ist für mich das passendste. Mal gucken, da dürfte ja auch nicht mehr ganz so viel kommen. Starten wir mal. Tetsuo Tsutsumi, 1 p.m. Umagata High School. Wir sind noch an der Schule. Boss, I just talked to the Sumida police. Oh, what now? They found an abandoned van in the Chiba Mountains that looked like it'd been in accident. They couldn't lift any fingerprints from it, but they found blood splatters on the front. And guess what? The blood is a perfect match for Michio's. Oh ho. So it must be the van that hit Michio. You got it. It's all thanks to Yoshimi that we were able to find that out. The license plate had been removed, though, and they even scrapped off the vehicle identification number. It'll take a while to identify the owner. Now they're trying to figure out if the van was sighted anywhere between the scene of the crime and where it was dumped. Got it. Thanks for the report. It's nice we got permission to use the school as our base of operations. The principal and head teacher were a little reluctant at first, but they were convinced that it helped the investigation. Dealing with all this must be a real headache for those guys. I should thank them again later. Haben wir noch irgendwo Vögel? Haben wir irgendwie noch Birdos? Ah, Birdo. Mockingbird Number 15 discovered. Yay! Da fehlen uns noch einige. By the way, boss, we've confirmed that Michio died in a vehicular collision, but are we sure that it was really an accident? Good question. I was wondering the same thing. The damage done by the collision indicates that the driver was traveling at a considerable speed, but there were no brake marks to be found. Exactly, which suggests they may have been intentionally targeting Michio. Then what was the motive, you think? Who would have reason to kill Michio? The first person that comes to mind is Kankichiro Iwai. After all, she knew about his crimes. But then Iwai was supposedly able to control Michio by intimidation alone. There's also the teacher who was taking advantage of Michio, Kohai Junuchi. But to say he killed her to stop people from finding out that he was blackmailing her doesn't seem likely somehow. You're right. So both of them have fallen prey to her curse. That's true. In that case, it's quite possible she also decided to exact revenge on the person who ran her over. Not just possible, she may have already done it last night, just like with Iwai. Is there anything else that could serve as a motive? The talisman, maybe. The one Yoshimi was looking for. Oh, do you think someone wanted to take it from her? Well, the talisman wasn't found on her remains, nor in her house. But doesn't the hit and run seem like too drastic a measure to go for a little talisman? Then, in the end, it might just be an unfortunate accident after all. Yeah, it looks that way. Either way, what we need now is a testimony from Michiyo herself. With a bit of luck, we may be able to ask her what happened during the crash ourselves. Yeah, I can't wrap my head around that particular development. I still have my doubts that it'll be so easy. Either way, we won't be able to do this unless Michiyo and Yakko turn up. I'd rather have them come sooner rather than later, but I guess we just have to wait. Shall we head inside? Alright then. Boss, I thought we were going to wait for Mio in the school. Ach so. Move. Move. Alright, let's go wait inside the school. I'm sure they'll be here any moment. Wahrscheinlich muss ich doch erst bei den anderen machen. Jo. Ach Mensch. Dann machen wir halt bei Yakko weiter. Oh, ich wusste es doch. Was trinken? Ich habe gestern viel zu wenig getrunken. Ich habe heute Morgen verschlafen. Das erste Mal, seit ich bei Lidl arbeite. So. Ich müsste ja eigentlich wahrscheinlich erst zum Kaffee mit ihr, ne? Mit den. Ich gehe erstmal zum Kaffee. Ich glaube, das ist sicherer. Yakko Sakazaki, 12 p.m. Kurokikyo Kaffee. Ah, guck mal, da ist ein Birdie. Ich habe einen Birdie gesehen. Ich möchte den Birdie. Birdie, Birdie, Birdie. You know, normally you'd be breaking school rules just by stepping foot in a cafe. I'll be in hot water if you lied about having permission from the police. Remember that. We know. It'll be okay. So, what did you want to ask me? Mockingbird-Namen. Weites Cover. Woohoo! Woohoo! Ah, cafe. I've never been to one before. How exciting. It's pretty smelly inside because of the cigarette smoke, but... Warum hat das jetzt näher gemacht? Hab ich da irgendwas... Will ich da irgendwas sehen? Talking about the curse stone. Yakko, if you would. Right, we want to ask you about this. Oh my, a curse stone. An Okami mask. That must be the fool's possession. You two were at the school last night. Damn, they're of all places. Yakko, you're one of them? You're a curse barrier? Please calm down, Mr. Araishi. Your reaction is too intense. It's kind of scaring me. Sorry about that. I'm afraid I got ahead of myself. What is it you wanted to know about your curse stone? What would be the best way to approach him? Just flatter him. It's just a brilliant teacher like you must know an awful lot about these curse stones. Well, it's true that I'm likely the person most well-versed in this matter. You're the only one we can count on, Mr. Araishi. We want you help us, please? Oh, am I now? In that case, there's no harm hearing what you have to ask. Thank you. Let's see. Why is everything with the Rite of Resurrection and 7 Mysteries Curse Stones happening now? Oh, taken interest now that you've received one of the curse, have you? You sound like a researcher starting your questioning with your subject's origins. Mr. Raishi, you're not the one who triggered the curse, are you? No, I'm afraid I had nothing to do with that. Rather, I wasn't even attempting to do so in the first place. Completing the rite itself has nothing to do with my research. Then, do you know of the ancient Onmyodo ritual known as the Feast of Shadows? What is that? Something from the occult? Miss Kurosutsu, you look like the type to be interested in those things, but it's outside my field of expertise. In that case, why do you think the rite and curses have appeared now? I believe this is the intentional work of someone. Hmm, it's certainly not something that would happen by accident. Why is it you want to know? Well, he may not tell us anything else if we say that we are trying to stop the curse. We need to make something up. Right. Well, you see, we just have such intellectual curiosity and think it could really help your research. I see. Now that you mention it, seems like he's reluctant to answer. Then how about then what does that record of fate that you've been researching say about the rite of resurrection? Oh ho, I see, that's what you want to know. Allow me to first elucidate you regarding the author of the record of fates. A special privilege, I might add, since I have yet to publish this in a paper. Yeah, okay. The Record of Fates was written 200 years ago in the latter half of the Edo period. It was written by a skilled but little known onmyoji called Simon Tsuchimikado. This is important stuff. If nothing else, remember this. Simon Tsuchimikado? I've never heard of him. I'm sure you haven't. He was born into a famed Onmyoi family but split away to practice forbidden arts in secret. He used whatever name was most convenient for the situation, so his real name barely exists in records. Or so it is written in the Record of Fates. Ah. As brilliant as Simon was, he was also an eccentric. He delved into researching the rite of resurrection, a legendary forbidden ritual that had never been completed. However, by involving himself with this forbidden ritual, he was expelled from his family, and eventually found himself in Honjo in Edo. The record of fates are the writings Simon recorded on the road to Edo. I see. So he wrote how to perform the rite itself. The rite of resurrection makes use of Abe no Saimai's specialty, the Taizan Fukun ritual, a means of communicating with the afterlife. It uses soul tracks to replicate the soul of a dead spirit that has been called. Oh wow, I never knew something like that existed. Thus, it is thought the only ones who can use it are those with the ability to turn human souls into soul tracks in the first place. So the rite of resurrection calls for that ritual to be performed in advance. Then, when the soul tracks are gathered and infused with the wish of whoever is performing the ritual, it can be completed. The contents written in the record of fates. And there. There's no more? What about the seven mysteries or the curse stones? There's nothing written about them in the record of fates. The curse stones are separate from the rite of resurrection. The curse is one used to enable one who is unable to perform such rituals to be able to use the rite. Ah, that's similar to what Mio said actually. Excuse me, Mr. Raishi. What is it, Miss Kurosutsu? You published a theory before the incident took place. It said that the rite of resurrection and origin of the seven mysteries of Honjo are related somehow. What proof did you have of that? You really know your stuff, but about that was a somewhat sensationalized piece written for occult magazines. Oh, really? It was just nonsense, then? Not exactly. Rather, it's not a complete fabrication. There is a basis for it. And that is? Well, I suppose there's no harm telling a couple students so passionate about this topic. Thank you. This is something I discovered from referencing numerous texts unrelated to the Record of Fates. It was just after Simon arrived in Honjo. There are records of a conflict over a ritual used to resurrect the dead in Honjo. A conflict over resurrecting the dead? I don't know the details. A man enticed the public with claims of a spell that could resurrect the dead, causing a conflict that ended tragically with 9 dead. That is the only remaining reference. 9 people fighting over resurrection ritual? I call this tragedy the Honjo incident, and it has long been a subject of my research. And I suspect that this Honjo incident might be the very origin of the 7 mysteries of Honjo. So what you're saying is the resurrection ritual at the root of the Honjo incident is Simon's rite of resurrection? Yes, that is how the Record of Fates ties everything together. To put it in chronological order, first Simon brought the rite of resurrection to Edo. We can assume that by this point Simon was likely using a different name. Then in Honjo 9 people fought to the death over this rite, the Honjo incident. After that, the incident was covered up by an interest party, preventing it from being recorded in history fully. Eventually, it was passed down in incomplete pieces, becoming known as the Seven Mysteries of Honjo. That's more or less the course of events. So that's how they're connected. Then, if I'm getting this right, the Seven Mysteries were basically required to gather the soul tracks necessary for the ride. And there's more. With this most recent occurrence of the curse, I've becoming even more confident in my theory. You are? Yes, the reason for it being the reasonful memories of the 7 mysteries etched into those who received the curse stones. Reasonful memories? Yakko, if you really are a curse bearer, then when you obtained your curse stone, you would have had a reasonful memory imprinted in your mind. Oh, I did. Exactly, those memories are what happened in the final moments of the 9 who died in the Honjo incident. Broadly speaking, they involved dying while bearing some kind of a deep resentment. The 9 victims became the 9 curse echoes, which over time came to be spoken of as the 7 mysteries, thus gathering the reasonful memories granted by the present curses and connecting them together. It will reveal once and for all what happened during the Honjo incident. Ah, that's why you must tell me about the reasonful memory of your fool's possession, Yakko. Ugh, Mio, should I? Yeah, I think it's okay. We need all the information we can get. Okay, Mr. Araishi. I'll tell you about the memory of the fool's procession. Excellent. Das sieht irgendwie so ein bisschen, weiß nicht. Ich würde es ihm nicht, Alter, bei der Fresse würde ich es ihm nicht erzählen. Guck dir, Alter, guck doch mal an, wie der guckt. So, basically, it's about a woman who died falling from a Yagura tower at a festival. Interesting. It's not that one then. Not that one? What do you mean? Among the 9 victims at the Honjo incident, that is to say the 9 curse echoes, one of them is Simon himself, or so I suspect. Simon was one of the victims at the Honjo incident too, meaning an Onmyoi as powerful as him also became a curse echo? Right. It would make sense that the curse stone tied to a curse echo like that would be special. the power of a curse stone is different based on the curse echo? Mio. Then maybe with Diamond's curse echo we could